What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Thank you guys for all the get well wishes and everything like that. I'm finally starting to feel better, so I'm gonna start doing videos again. So basically in today's video, I've been getting a ton of questions on baby crested gecko care and how I care for babies and the special care that they need as their babies. All right guys, so I'm gonna go through hand feeding, we're gonna go through stuck shed, how to get it off, and basically just a lot of the tips and tricks that I've learned for dealing with babies or hatchlings. I'm gonna also be showing you guys some of the babies that we have and some of the progression of other babies you guys have already seen, so stick around. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to talk about is hand feeding. So this is basically what I use for hand feeding. It's just a little tiny spoon type tool that I found, and it works very well for hand feeding. Alright, so then you just take it and scoop it, and then what I do is I will go right next to my gecko. See how it's already trying to bite it? Probably thought that it was some sort of bug. And they will do that. They'll typically run away like that sometimes, but whoops, now I just spilled the water. Dang it. Yeah, this is what happens when you hand feed sometimes, guys. It just turns into a disaster. But basically how I do it is I'll take the gecko, usually not on my hand, and then put some right on its nose. But as you guys can see, it already started eating. So if you ever need to hand feed, I suggest, if they don't step on it, but if you ever need to hand feed, you are not helping me make this video, buddy. But yeah, guys, this is basically all I do to hand feed. Put a little bit of food on the spoon or whatever it is. You can use a spoon, you can use this little tool, you can use a lot. And I basically get it up onto their nose, and I'll usually put like a little dab like that. Then once they start licking, that's when I'll go and I will take the rest of the food, kind of just put it by their mouth, because they tend to just keep on licking. Now, I typically don't do this very often. It's only if I have a gecko that's kind of skinny. They typically find their food relatively well on their own, so I don't do this often. But with babies, I usually do it for a little bit, or I'll do supplemental feedings a couple times a week, where I'll actually go in and hand feed, just to make sure that they're getting enough food and growing at a healthy rate. So yeah, guys, this is how I hand feed my babies if I ever need to. And I typically will start out once they hatch out of the egg and hand feed a few times after about a day or so. That way they can, you know, get the nutrients that they need. Now this was the baby that I just got from Valentine and Fleck. I don't know if you guys can see, but when you first saw it, there was not a ton of spots, but now there's a bunch of spots, and there's a ton of red spots starting to come through. This one is going to be a very pretty adult, I have a feeling. You can see all those red spots on its head too. But yeah, guys, this is it. Just a little guy or girl, very tiny, but a bunch of red spots. You can see they're just going to keep coming in. Super pretty gecko. Can't wait to see what this one looks like full grown. Very glad that I got this one for free with all the other ones that I got, so that was very cool. But yeah, there's your little update on this little guy, and that's how I hand feed my babies. Now let's talk about the next thing. Alright guys, so what I do before I try to get any stuck shit off or anything like that is I'll soak them, or I'll put them in a container like this, and I will basically just let down the entire container. So there's a little bit of water, but as you guys can see, I mean, it's soaking wet, nice and damp. You want them to basically have their skin be nice and damp. That way it makes it easier for that stuck shed to come off. So basically what I'll do is I'll put the gecko in, shut this. I usually leave them in there for I would say probably 15-20 minutes. Make sure all that skin gets nice and soft. That way when you try to help them remove it, it's easier to come off. 1, it won't hurt them. 2, and 3, typically it makes all this stuck shed come off in one piece versus 8 million pieces, so it's just easier for it to come off as well. But this is what I do. Obviously this is for like babies or juveniles, and then for adults I use a bigger one, but it's basically the same idea, same concept. Stuck shed gets really hard if you just let it sit and you're not paying attention. So what you need to do is pay attention. If you are noticing stuck shed or they're going through a shed, check them the next morning. If you're noticing it at night, make sure they're good. If not, put them in something like this and help them get that stuck shed off. Alright guys, now I have Ivy with me, and she is going to be demonstrating what it's like to have stuck shed. Now she doesn't have any stuck shed currently, but you guys can kind of get the point. So basically, I will just wet a Q-tip right there, and then I will basically just rub the gecko that has the stuck shed. Now, if it's got stuck shed on its paws, I'll just take it and just rub the paws just like that. Now, I'll typically have one wet side, and I'll leave the other side dry because sometimes it is easier to get one side wet after you soak. Now, this is after you soak them. I forgot to say that. And then once I do that, I'll take them out, and I will get one side that's wet, one side that's dry, and kind of just rub their feet like this if it's on their foot or on their tail, whatever. I'll just rub it like this, and then I'll use the dry side once I'm done, and that kind of helps to pull off the remainder of the skin. That typically works well for me. I know there's other ways that you can do it, but that's the best working way for me. Now, real quick, let's talk about this girl because she is gorgeous. So this is a Sif and Odie baby. Her name is Ivey because she's named after Jaden Ivey on the Pistons. Go Pistons. But yeah, she looks gorgeous. I mean, look at this girl. She got different colored spots just like her dad. Black, white, and red. And I think that she might have some green. Odie's got a few green spots, but not a ton. Sif doesn't have any, but I mean, look at her. She's got some cute spots. That red and black one right there is very cute. That other red one right there is very cute. And those white ones are cute. But yeah, Ivey is such a cutie. She's got some red ones up in here too. Oh yeah. I do not think I'll be making her available. I might, but it's not going to be for a while, if at all, because I think she's very cute and I might be keeping her. So a quick tip or trick is you can also use one of these for when your crested geckos first hatch out. So when they first hatch out of the egg, you can put them in a little container like this. Make sure they get their first shed completely off. And then once that happens, then you can go and put them in their tank. Now, when you're wanting them to shed for the first time, you don't need to soak it like this. I mean, this is super soaked. This is more of like a suck shed situation. You can do the same thing. Just don't do it as wet if you're doing it for new hatchlings. Yes, they need it humid because they do need to, you know, shed their skin. But you don't want it to be so wet that they're just sitting in wetness for however long it takes them to get through their shed. So you want it to be damp, but you don't want it to be completely soaked. So that's another tip or trick that I learned along the way. And that's what I do for my babies. Once they hatch out, unless I can tell that they've already been through a shed, I will go and then put them in their new tank. But if they haven't gone through their shed, they go in one of these. Once they go in their shed, that's when they go into their tank. Now, I sometimes get asked questions how I set up baby crested geckos. Now, for me personally, I try to make it as easy as possible. I want it to be very easy to clean because they make a mess. Now, I literally just cleaned this tank last night. The gecko pooped twice and walked in its food and spread it everywhere. Now, if I had a bunch of plants in here, it'd be a mess. But since I don't, and I just have this one that it can hide under, and this hide, since this has food on it, today what I'm gonna do is take out everything out of the tank, which is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the gecko things, put them on the lid, clean it out, and you know, I have got to clean their tank so often. That's kind of how I do it. I put in a bigger plant that takes up roughly half-ish of the tank, their food, their water dish, which they sometimes use to help soak if they're going through a shed, so that is important to have. But also if you have like new hatchlings, I wouldn't give them a huge one. I would just use a water bottle cap and, you know, don't fill it up all the way. You're gonna have to fill it up more often, but you don't want them to drown or anything. I've never had an issue with that, but I just, you know, I get paranoid. But my point was, I have to clean these so often. I have to keep them lower planted, especially right now when they're so small. They don't really do a ton of moving. They kind of hide most of the time. So basically, I have a bunch of these. I'll just put in a new one, switch out the paper towel. Food and water can go back in. That plant can go back in. It's not dirty. Doesn't have any poop or anything on it. But that's how I set up my babies. Now, once it's a little bit older, I'll start to incorporate, well, actually, I'm probably gonna do that this week, but put in something for them to climb. What I've found works really well is these insulator pipes. They work very well. PVC and suction cups work well. If you guys want me to do a video on some of the things that I found that work well that are relatively cheap for crested geckos, let me know. I actually might do that relatively soon. I think that would be a fun video to make. Yeah, this is how I set up my babies. Basically a big plant, another spot for them to hide on the other side of the tank, food and water in the middle, and that's pretty much how I do it. But since I have this one out, let me show you guys this one. Super cute. This is another Sif and Odie baby. You guys can see how big those spots are. I mean, some of those spots are massive. But yeah, this one's not really wanting to cooperate either. But again, this is really why I don't handle babies. This is gonna go into our handling segment. I really don't handle babies unless I have to. I don't like doing it. They're just really spazzy. I feel like they freak out super easily. I just don't like doing it. But if I have to, I'll kind of get them like this, and then, you know, that's how I do it. Just let them jump right back into their tank. But if I do ever have to hold them, this is how I do it. I kind of get them over to a corner where they're kind of just climbing. I'll let them use my finger to climb up, and then use my hands to not let them fall, because they will fall, and they, not intentionally, but they just kind of freak out and try to run, and you know, it's not always great. But yeah, look at the spot coverage on this one, and it's still really small. But yeah, guys, my recommendation is if they're under 10 grams, don't really handle them unless you have to move them out of their tank. But I really wouldn't handle them at all, to be honest. Alright guys, now this was the very spotty baby that I showed you that I got. You can see how small this thing is, but look at the spot coverage. There are so many spots, and I don't know if you guys can tell from the first time you saw this one, but a lot of those spots are starting to get bigger. Like, look at the few on the head right there towards the nose. I mean, this one is going to be very cool. Very pretty gecko. Cannot wait to see what this one looks like. It already has so many spots, and as you guys can see, I mean, it fits on my finger. It's so small. This thing is tiny. But yeah, I just wanted to show this one off for you guys. Super cool baby. Cannot wait to see this one full grown. I mean, look at the spot coverage. That is insane. Super cute. Can't wait to see what this one looks like. But yeah, I had to show you guys because it looks so cute. All right, guys, the next two I'm going to be showing you are actually clutch mates. Now, this is which she's gorgeous. Look at that little collection of spots right there, that little cluster. So pretty. She looks a lot like Odie. She's more of kind of like a camel almost, or like a brindle, but she's very pretty. I mean, look at her. But yeah, I'll be showing you guys her clutch mate in a second. Looks nothing like her. You know, I'm probably not going to get rid of this one either. I have a hard time getting rid of any of my geckos, to be honest with you. Even ones that I don't find as pretty. Not to say this one is not pretty, because this one's gorgeous, but just some of them I have a really hard time, you know, getting rid of. And it's like, I don't want to get rid of really any of them if I don't have to, but I do have to. So we are going to start making some available really soon. We're talking about going to a show, maybe a couple shows. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what she looks like full grown, but I mean, look at that weird cluster of spots, you guys. That's insane. But yeah, this is her. Super pretty. Now I will show you guys her clutch mate next. Alright guys, this is her clutch mate. Obviously, he's not looking as pretty right now, but he is a boy. Obviously, I don't know if you guys can tell. But looks nothing like her. Literally nothing like her. He looks like a charcoal, to be honest with you, but the cool thing about him is his green spots are very evident. You can see all of his green spots on his head. He stops moving. But this is another one where I really feel like I'm not going to get rid of him ever, even, you know, if I don't breed him or anything like that. I think he's going to be a pet only for me, or like a keep him as a pet for me, just because I love this boy. He reminds me of his dad a lot. They have the same temperament, same demeanor, very calm. I know a lot of people have seen the male, his dad, Odie, which, you know, I'll show you guys Odie next, just so you guys can see. He's got literally the same temperament. Now, he's got some cool spots too. He's got that big, nice red one down there, kind of overlapping the black. You can see the green ones on his head, all of his black ones. He's got a few white ones. He doesn't have as many red as his clutch mate, but still very pretty, very cute. I'm very surprised at how different some of these can turn out. But yeah, I've been showing off Littlefoot for a while. I know, you know, Littlefoot's not everybody's cup of tea with how dark he is, which he's not even fully flaring right now. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but he's not even fully flaring. He gets dark, say brownish black almost. I mean, he kind of looks like an axanthic, but he's not. But yeah, there's the update on him. All right, guys, now this is Odie. This is their dad. And if you don't know who Odie is, what are you doing on my channel? No, just kidding. But Odie's my favorite crested gecko that I have. You guys can see all the different color spots he has. That yellow one, orange, red, white, green, black. I mean, you name it. He's got the color spot on him. But the reason why I love Odie so much is he's so personable. I mean, look at him. He literally will just sit here and let me pet him. I mean, Odie is probably one of the cutest crested geckos most loving crested geckos that I've ever seen. I mean, he literally will just sit here and let me pet him for as long as I want. He seems to love being held, seems to love being just out and in my hands. But yeah, Odie is going to be one. Even if I stop breeding him and don't use him as a breeder anymore, he will never be leaving me. I just think he's the cutest crested gecko that I've ever seen. And Odie's my boy. So Littlefoot is in the same boat. They're never leaving me. So these guys, he acts just like his dad. This is, like I said, Odie. He acts just like Littlefoot. Littlefoot acts just like him. Very, very calm, very cute crested geckos. And he is a confetti. I mean, as you guys can see, all the different color spots on him. Super pretty boy. A lot of the ones I'm going to be making available are from him and Sif, so be on the lookout for that. If you guys don't know who Sif is, I'll throw up a picture on the screen just so you guys know. But those guys produce crazy, crazy babies. You know, if you guys are on the lookout for that, just be on the lookout for it, because we're going to be making some available soon. So let me know in the comments if you guys would want a Sif and Odie baby. I mean, look at him. He's literally just holding my finger. Come on, how cute is that? Alright guys, so yeah, that was the update on Odie, and let me see who else I can show you guys. Alright guys, another quick update on the big 70-gram girl that we got. I mean, look at her. She's literally gorgeous. She's a massive gecko. She's huge. She's very chunky, but also very, very cute, very pretty. Just wanted to give you guys a little update on her. She's doing amazing, and yeah, she's looking great. Alright guys, like I said, I'm feeling a lot better now. I should be posting more regularly. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.